Welcome back. What you are about to hear is not a love story. It is a psychological autopsy, a precise, clinical, brutally honest dissection of one of the most sophisticated manipulation systems a human being can deploy against another, the narcissist's seduction trap, and why it works on the strongest, most intelligent, most psychologically perceptive people alive. By the end of this video, you will never be vulnerable to it again. You are not naive. You are not foolish. You are not lacking in intelligence or discernment or the ability to read people accurately. Everything you believed about yourself as someone who could identify dishonesty, who could sense manipulation, who could protect yourself from predatory behavior, all of that was true. And none of it was sufficient protection against what was deployed against you. Today, we establish exactly why. Completely. Without softening a single truth. The narcissist did not seduce you by being irresistible. They seduced you by being a mirror, by reflecting back, with extraordinary precision and calculated warmth, exactly the person you most needed to encounter at exactly the moment you were most open to encountering them. That is not romance. That is not chemistry. That is a technique, refined, deliberate, deployed with surgical accuracy against a specific target. And today, we take it apart piece by devastating piece. Here is the haunting question at the center of this video, the one that visits every survivor in the aftermath, usually arriving in the quiet between grief and anger. How did I not see it? How did something so calculated feel so completely, overwhelmingly real? That question is not self-indictment. It is the most intelligent question you could ask. And today, for the first time, it receives the complete, psychologically documented answer it has always deserved. The narcissist's seduction system is not improvised. It is not natural charm amplified by circumstance. It is a structured, sequenced, psychologically sophisticated process refined through years of predatory practice. It has phases. It has specific techniques deployed at specific moments. It has built-in safeguards against early detection. And once you understand its complete architecture, once you see every mechanism in full light, you will never be vulnerable to it again. That is what this video gives you. Protection. Permanent. Irrevocable. To understand the seduction trap, you must first understand its actual objective. Not love, not genuine connection, not even simply intimacy. The objective was dependency. Specifically, a psychological dependency so complete, so structurally embedded in the target's daily emotional functioning, that leaving the relationship becomes indistinguishable from dismantling a core part of the self. That is not seduction. That is engineering. And it begins before the target is even aware the process has started. The narcissist's first move, before a single word of love bombing is deployed, is the assessment phase. A psychological inventory of the target. What do they need? What do they fear? What is the specific shape of their particular longing? What is the texture of their particular wound? This inventory is conducted with a perceptual accuracy that approaches the clinical. They can identify what you are hungry for with diagnostic precision. They cannot genuinely feed you, but they can perform feeding with sufficient conviction to produce the neurological response of genuine satiation. For a time. Here is the first technique deployed after the assessment. Mirroring. Having identified the target's values, interests, dreams, and emotional needs, the narcissist begins reflecting them back with the warmth and precision of someone who shares them authentically. They love what you love. They value what you value. They understand your specific brand of longing because, in the mirroring phase, they appear to share it completely. This is not coincidence. This is construction. And it produces a feeling of being understood at a depth that most people never experience in their entire relational lives. The mirroring technique works because of a specific neurological reality. The human brain responds to being deeply understood with the same neurochemical cascade as falling in love. Oxytocin. Dopamine. The intoxicating cocktail released in response to genuine, profound connection. The narcissist's mirroring triggers this cascade without the genuine connection that would normally produce it. They hacked the neurochemical system. And the feeling, the overwhelming sense of finally being seen, finally being known, finally being home, is indistinguishable from authentic love at the neurological level. Your brain could not tell the difference, because it was designed to tell the difference from reality, not from this. The second technique is idealization, the systematic, relentless elevation of the target to extraordinary specialness in the narcissist's performed reality. You are not just attractive, you are uniquely, incomparably beautiful. Not just intelligent, you are the most fascinating mind they have ever encountered. This idealization is not casual hyperbole. It is a structural component of the trap, designed to create a psychological investment in the narcissist's perception of you that will later be weaponized. The golden period they created felt more real, more warm, more profoundly connected than anything before or since, because it was built specifically for you, from the raw material of your own deepest needs. The third technique is intermittent reinforcement, the calculated, unpredictable alternation between the warmth of the golden period and the first intimations of withdrawal. Inexplicable distance following extraordinary closeness. Inexplicable criticism following days of intense affirmation. The unpredictability is not accidental. It is the most powerful behavioral conditioning mechanism in human psychology, the same mechanism that makes gambling neurologically addictive. It produces a specific psychological state clinically indistinguishable from addiction, the anxious, hypervigilant monitoring of the narcissist's emotional temperature. The compulsive orientation toward the source of the unpredictable reward. The target experiencing this does not recognize it as manufactured dependency. They experience it as love. The deepest truth about why the seduction trap works most effectively on the strongest, most empathic, most perceptive people, it requires depth to function. A person with limited capacity for genuine connection would not respond as completely to the simulation of profound connection. The trap is calibrated for depth. Your empathy, your capacity for genuine intimacy, your extraordinary emotional intelligence, these are the qualities that made the trap most effective against you. You were not weak. You were the most capable person in the room. And the trap was designed specifically for someone exactly like you. The turning point is the moment the target first encounters the gap, the specific, disorienting moment when the narcissist's behavior produces a response so contrary to the person the target believed they knew that the mind cannot immediately reconcile the contradiction. The first inexplicable cruelty. The first dismissal so disproportionate it leaves the target genuinely confused. The first glimpse of the real person beneath the performed one. This moment is not the end of the trap. It is its activation. Because the target's response to this moment determines everything that follows. The target's response to the first gap is almost always the same, the response the narcissist's system was designed to produce. The target does not immediately recognize a fundamentally different person from the one they fell for. They contextualize it, explain it. The narcissist is under stress, or was triggered, or needs support rather than judgment. The empathic response. The generous interpretation. The exact response that the idealization phase was designed to cultivate, and that now functions as the mechanism that keeps the target inside the trap. The compassion that is the target's greatest strength has been converted into their primary vulnerability. Here is the plot twist that reframes the entire seduction. The golden period was not the relationship. It was the setup for the relationship. Every technique, the mirroring, the idealization, the extraordinary attentiveness, was not the narcissist expressing who they were. It was the narcissist installing who you would need them to be. Installing an image so compelling, so precisely calibrated to your specific psychological needs, that when the real person emerged in glimpses, you would spend enormous psychological energy trying to get back to the person from the golden period. The trap was not the love bombing. The trap was what the love bombing installed in your nervous system. The dramatic power shift occurs when the target first attempts to address the gap directly. This attempt is the moment the narcissist's control becomes overt. Because now the target is reaching toward the narcissist for something they need, validation, reassurance, explanation, and the narcissist holds complete power over whether that need is met. The dynamic has inverted. The person performing extraordinary attentiveness is now the gatekeeper of the attention the target has been conditioned to require. And gatekeepers do not simply provide. They control access. And controlling access is the narcissist's primary source of power in the dynamic. What makes this turning point so psychologically significant is the specific, painful experience of clarity arriving inside dependency. The target begins seeing clearly, connecting the patterns, identifying the techniques, recognizing the manipulation in retrospect with a precision that is itself evidence of their extraordinary perceptual intelligence. And yet, the neurological dependency produced by intermittent reinforcement makes acting on that clarity an experience of almost physical pain. They know what is happening, and they cannot immediately stop responding to it. That gap, between knowing and being able to act on the knowing, is the cruelest aspect of the trap's design. And it is not your failure. It is the trap working exactly as intended. The collapse of the seduction trap begins not with the target's departure but with their clarity. Because clarity, even clarity that has not yet produced action, changes the quality of the target's engagement in ways the narcissist system is designed to detect. The responses become slightly less predictable. The emotional reactivity the intermittent reinforcement was calibrated to produce becomes slightly less reliable. Something has changed in the frequency. And the narcissist system, calibrated for a specific signal, registers the change as signal loss. The emergency protocols activate. The narcissist's response to signal loss is escalation, an intensification of every technique designed to restore the previous level of emotional engagement. Love bombing resurfaces with an intensity that initially feels like confirmation of genuine feeling. But the escalated love bombing is not evidence of love. It is the system's emergency protocol. When escalated love bombing fails, escalated devaluation follows. Cruelty more targeted, reality distortion more aggressive. The narcissist is attempting to reintroduce enough confusion to make the target abandon their developing clarity. This escalation is not strength. It is the system in crisis. And crisis reveals what confidence concealed. Here is the consequence the narcissist never calculated. The target who survived the seduction trap and achieved genuine clarity does not emerge diminished. They emerge equipped, armed with a psychological map of one of the most sophisticated manipulation systems in human relational behavior, armed with first-hand knowledge of how manufactured connection feels at its most convincing, armed with the specific, calibrated discernment that can only be developed through the experience of distinguishing the real from the expertly performed. The trap was designed to create a permanently manageable supply source. It created, instead, someone permanently beyond its reach. The darkest consequence lives in the target's interior, the specific, painful work of disentangling genuine feelings from manufactured connection. The love the target felt was real. The neurochemical experience was real. The profound sense of finally being understood was genuinely experienced, however artificially produced. Grieving the relationship means grieving something simultaneously real and constructed. For something genuinely felt but never genuinely there. That specific grief, one of the most psychologically complex forms of loss a human being can process, requires time, honesty, and the patient work of holding both truths simultaneously without collapsing either one. Give yourself that time. You have earned every moment of it. Here is the final truth. The narcissist's seduction trap works, specifically, exclusively, and only on people who have genuine capacity for the depth of connection it simulates. It cannot work on someone who does not genuinely long for profound understanding. It cannot work on someone without the emotional depth to be moved by the experience of being completely seen. The trap's effectiveness is not evidence of your weakness. It is a precise measurement of your depth. And depth is not a flaw. Depth is the most valuable human quality available. It was exploited. It was never diminished. You did not fall for a lie. You fell for a performance of truth so precisely calibrated to your specific psychological needs that your brain's most sophisticated detection systems could not immediately distinguish it from the genuine article. That is not a failure of judgment. That is evidence of how sophisticated the system deployed against you actually was. Give yourself the full, unqualified absolution that truth deserves. You were not fooled because you were insufficient. You were targeted because you were extraordinary. The mirroring technique was built entirely from you. The narcissist did not bring something to the mirroring, they reflected something back. Which means that the qualities you saw reflected, the depth, the intelligence, the specific flavor of longing, the particular beauty of your inner world, those were yours. They were always yours. The narcissist simply held up a surface that showed them to you. The surface was false. What it reflected was entirely, completely, beautifully real. And it belongs to you, not to the relationship, not to the memory of the golden period, but to you. Permanently. Irrevocably. The golden period, the phase you grieve most specifically, was built from the raw material of your own deepest psychological needs. Which means that the warmth of the golden period, however manufactured its source, was a perfect mirror of the warmth available in a genuine relationship with someone actually capable of the connection the narcissist was only performing. That warmth is real. That connection exists. The golden period proved it exists in you. The work of your recovery is not recovering from your capacity to feel it. It is finding it again, in someone for whom it is not a performance but a lived, daily, authentic reality. To every person watching this who spent time asking what was wrong with them, why they fell for it, why they stayed, why they went back after the first gap appeared, hear this. Nothing was wrong with you. The staying was the neurological consequence of manufactured dependency, not evidence of weakness. The going back was the predictable response of a nervous system conditioned by intermittent reinforcement, not evidence of poor judgment. Every single response you had at every phase was the correct response to what was being done to you. You did not fail the relationship. The relationship failed you. The recovery is not the process of becoming less trusting, less open, less willing to love deeply. That prescription, though offered with care, would complete the narcissist's work for them. It would permanently diminish the very qualities that made you worth targeting. The recovery is becoming more discerning without becoming less deep. More boundaried without becoming less warm. More protective of your extraordinary capacity for genuine connection without becoming less willing to eventually deploy that capacity with someone who deserves it. The goal is not a smaller version of yourself. The goal is a more completely protected version of your full self. The discernment you have developed, through the process of understanding the seduction trap completely, is the specific, irreplaceable form of wisdom this experience was always capable of producing, even as it produced its damage. You now know what manufactured connection feels like at its most convincing. You know the techniques, the mirroring, the idealization, the intermittent reinforcement, and you can feel their presence in new dynamics with a sensitivity no theoretical education could produce without lived experience. That sensitivity is not a wound. It is a refinement, and refinement is the most valuable thing any experience can leave behind. There is a specific moment in every survivor's recovery. It arrives at different times, but it always arrives, when the grief for the golden period transforms into something different. When the loss of the manufactured warmth is replaced by the recognition that what you were longing for during that golden period is a real thing. Not just a performed thing. A real, achievable, genuinely available thing. That recognition that the golden period's greatest gift was not what it gave you but what it showed you was possible, is the beginning of the recovery's most important chapter. And that chapter is yours to write. Without them. On your own extraordinary terms. The narcissist manufactured attraction using the raw material of your own deepest psychological needs. They took your longing for genuine understanding, your capacity for depth, your specific and beautiful way of loving completely, and built a trap from the reflection. But here is what they could never account for, the extraordinary resilience of the person they targeted. The capacity to survive the trap. To understand it completely. To emerge not destroyed but calibrated. Not diminished but refined. Not less capable of love but more precisely capable of recognizing where genuine love actually lives. The trap was theirs. The survival is yours. And everything built on the other side of that survival, every authentic connection, every genuine moment of being truly seen and truly known, belongs to you completely, permanently, and forever beyond their reach.